Unscripted podcast. Talk that real. Marriage Unscripted podcast. Keep it honest, keep it real. We laugh, we cry, we learn it through the mess and the bliss. Marriage Unscripted podcast. That's what love sounds like.
Hello, welcome to the Marriage Unscripted podcast. Listen, I have held this in for over a month that we are going to do. My husband and I are doing this podcast. So this is the great reveal of this podcast. I'm so excited that you are here. I'm so excited to share with you. Wanted to share with you a little bit about who we are. I'm Coach Mo, for those who don't know. This is my husband,
Darvlin McLean.
I hope you are going to feel impacted. I just wanted to share a little bit about Marriage Unscripted. Marriage Unscripted is where we talk about real things about marriage, about relationships, about the good and the bad, the ugly, all those things. Every marriage is different. There are good things, there are bad things, but the point of the matter is that it is something that God has ordained. So I'm so excited that you are here. I'm so excited to share with you. This is a much anticipated reveal to you. My husband is very, very quiet, very shy, but the fact that I got him to do this speaks volumes. Y'all, he loves me. So wanted to thank you all first. To get those out the way, I want to thank you for joining us to this much awaited, much enthusiastic, all the things, opportunity that we wanted to share with you. So, Darvlin, the love of my life, the apple of my eye. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
You doing good?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Not too bad.
Not too bad. So this is interesting. Y'all, he's very, very quiet. I think I established that. So I'm going to have to pull a lot of things out of him so he can kind of share with you about a little bit about him, a little bit about his story. So this is going to be good. This is going to be good. You'll learn from me. So, but this is going to be good. So, Darvlin, let's just start off. How did you meet me? How did we meet? Let's talk to the people.
Well, we were married for 20 years, been together 23 years. We met at Duke University Medical Center. It was a funny story because I was a transport at the hospital. She worked as a HUC running the floor, a particular floor. So I would come on the floor and I would just come up there and do my job, get the patient and leave. But she stopped me one day like, look, I need to know who you are and where you going with my patient. And I kind of chuckled and I said, okay, I'm here to get such and such, and signed the patient out and went and got the patient. And this went on for, I guess, I'm going to say about 2 weeks. And what intrigued me about her was she was a very straightforward person, and she paid attention to everything. She didn't let nothing get past her, especially on that floor. And but from that point on, I asked her out, and
No, that's not how that happened.
well, I didn't ask her out, but a coworker came to me and said, "It's a girl upstairs that I think likes you." But
I didn't tell him that.
No, that's what the coworker told me.
See, we're going to talk about having people be in our conversations.
So it was a coworker that told me that. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess when I went to the floor, I started flirting with her a little bit, just to see what kind of reaction I would get. That's from me, y'all. She didn't know I was doing it, but I was doing it anyway. So,
That's the first I
but
heard of this.
but
Anyway,
that's
go
how
ahead. I'm intrigued.
that's how we really met. But we've been together ever since, and uh, we dated for 4 years before we got married, and the us dating, starting out dating, getting to know each other was very interesting because I don't tell this story. The first time she cooked some food for me.
Wait a minute. No, before you go into that, so let me just tell you my take of how we got together. So everything was true. We met at Duke University Hospital. I was on the floor as health unit coordinator. All that was true. Up until the fact that a friend telling him that I liked him,
Yeah.
I don't know how that came to be, because the same friend, was the one to telling me that he liked me. Mm-hmm. So it was a little matchmaking.
I think he was playing matchmaker.
It was a little matchmaking.
Yeah.
But I told this person, I said, listen, I am not the type of person that goes in between and have a middle maker. If he is serious about wanting to have some sort of discussion with me, you need to say, I don't do matchmaker. He needs to be man enough to come upstairs on the 7th floor and talk to me. If that is the case, then we can talk about it. And I don't have a problem telling him to his face. We don't do the in-between thing. So that was the first thing. That's how all that played out. And then everything else, he started to come up, give me a little eye. He was the type of person that he would just come and walk on my floor and not acknowledge and not say anything, sign the people out, and then just go on about his business. I did my job.
In other words, I did my job.
Not on this one. You can do your job, but you can acknowledge the person that's standing right here making sure, because the nurses are going to ask me where their patients are, especially.
Well, I always spoke to the nurse.
Mm-hmm. Again, you're going to acknowledge, because I was the first one that anybody came to see. That's where my station was. So you're going to acknowledge. You're either going to speak. You don't have to stop and have a conversation, but you're going to speak to me and say, I'm going to such and such room. Okay, have a good day. See you when you get back. This one, I had to fix that. That didn't work with me. So nevertheless, it was all good. We had an understanding from there. No, the friend must have told him what I said. Next thing I know, 5 minutes later.
It won't know 5 minutes later.
He was up there.
It won't know. I was coming to get a patient. It won't know 5 minutes later, though.
Well, anyway, 5 minutes. He was up there. Okay, let's get that right. 5 minutes, he was up there. He was saying, hey, I think you're nice. What did you say? I want to get your number. And I was like, okay. Now, mind you, I had a whole lot of commotion. I was trying to figure out what was going on. People were walking behind me, and I'm a very private person. So, therefore, I don't need to have everybody in my business. So, but for some reason, and this is how I believe this is all God, for some reason, he was the only voice that I heard that day. I knew there were people around, but he was the only voice that I heard. And I was like, okay. And he talked very, very soft. Now, my husband, in a normal sense.
I'm not a loud person. I know how to whisper.
We're just going to leave that right there. But in a normal sense, his background is military. So he projects his voice. But this day, it was like all I heard was his voice. And so I said, okay, I'll give him my number. Now, mind you, I'm very selective about who I give my number to. I don't play that now. I don't play that. So gave him my number, and he called me. Now, both of us, I have to tell you that both of us worked second shift. So it was from 3 to 11. So when we got home, he called me. And then we stayed on the phone for maybe another hour.
Yeah.
maybe
At
another
least.
hour or so at least. Now, again, the fact that he stayed on the phone, and you'll learn this. My husband don't talk very much. He says what he needs to say, and that's it. So the fact that he stayed on the phone for another hour to talk to somebody speaks volumes. That means he loves me, y'all. He loved me. He didn't even know it then. So that's a little bit about how we met, and then everything else. We just dated a while. It was a mutual decision to wait. I set some standards. I was like, and we'll talk about the standards, because in every relationship, whether if you're dating, whether you're engaged, whether you set the boundaries, you set the standards about what you as a woman, as a single woman, are able to take. Me, you're going to acknowledge me. If you're going to acknowledge me. Two, okay, this is what I will do, and this is what I won't do. Okay, so we set some standards. We decided to wait. We decided to date a while, to get to know each other. And part of that is because he had a young son. I didn't have any children. And I did not want to, I respected the relationship that he had with his child's mother. I did not want to come into that dynamic. So we decided to wait. Everything's a decision, but you have to do it together. You have to do it together. So that's a little bit about our story, about how we became an item, how we became exclusive. And trust me, it wasn't no dating with benefits. It was no. I remember the very time when he asked me to be his woman. I remember. And so we have a little bit of
it was August 3rd.
disagreement.
It was August 3rd,
of
2003.
when it was. No, it was August 31st.
No.
See, a little bit of disagreement about when it became to be. So, but nevertheless, we were an item. And so we made sure that it was no anybody coming in between. I set some boundaries, he set some boundaries, and that was it. And so that is how we came together. We'll go on and talk about, our marriage. Yes. So we waited about 3 to 4 years.
4 years.
4 years. Well, you
4 years.
It was 4 years.
It was 4 years, Monica.
Okay, 4 years. Now he's got a better memory than mine. I think it was 3. And the reason why I say it was 3 is because he asked me in that 3rd year. And then it took me a while to plan it, because I wanted to make sure that we got the counseling, we got the additional support. I had to make sure that my mom was okay with it. And ultimately, I'm just going to tell you, and I'll just share a little bit about why we connected even more, is because ultimately, I had to make sure there was one person that was okay with it. And that was my uncle.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting. Yeah, I met her uncle for the first time at her apartment. And I introduced myself. He introduced himself. And to this day, we've been together 23 years. I'm not going to tell her what her uncle said to me. Ain't no need for that. That's man to man talk. And that's that. I'm going to keep it at that. So you don't need to know that. But the message was loud and clear. And and her mother, I that be transparent with you. I'm 10 years older than Monica, and her mother to this day
Still did not know.
Still did not know I was 10 years older than her daughter. So, but I look back on now. I tell her mother now. I said I took care of her. She hadn't wanted for anything. She got everything she needed. Wouldn't you agree? And her mother just laughs and says, "Yes, you took care of her. I didn't have to worry about her." I'm like, "Of course, you don't ever have to worry about her."
So that was the main reason. I wanted to make sure that not so much as to get their permission, but it was like I had growing up, I did not have the best representative of what marriage looked like. I knew through the married couples that were around me, I knew what I did not want. And so I had to make sure, and I felt like that, yeah, we needed to go to counseling. Yeah, I needed to talk to a couple of people. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I knew he was right. I knew that he was the person that I wanted to be with. I just wanted to make sure that I was at a place where I can say, yeah, yeah, I'm ready to take that next step. And so we went through marriage counseling
through our church.
through our church. I joined my church before he did. He was at another church, and come to find out that the church that I joined was his family church.
Yeah, it was my family church.
And I did not know that.
Yep.
And so it was like everything was coming together. So that was something that we decided on. We took, and I encourage anyone that who is taking that next step, who is engaged, seek some marriage counseling. And then I wanted to just share with you, yes, seek some marriage counseling, seek some premarital counseling. That is important for somebody. From somebody who has experience in that area, right? And I think that is very, very important. I do not think that marriage is something that anybody needs to take lightly. Understand, marriage is a covenant ordinance. That is something that is ordained by God. I talk about that a lot on my social media platforms. That is an ordained covenant that God has given. And so it is not a wedding. It is not planning a wedding. Yes, all those things are beautiful. Yes, all those things are good. But understand that wedding that you're planning for is only going to last for an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. And that is something that my pastor told me. Listen, he said, your wedding is not going to last but for 30 minutes. You're doing all these planning. You don't need to necessarily do what's going to happen after the marriage or the wedding. What's going to happen next? So the thing of the matter, we were planning for a lifestyle. We were planning for a life.
But most important is the premarital counseling, because during those sessions, you'll find out problems or disagreements or something that you, as a couple, y'all need to talk about. And you can find out through those sessions, like, okay, I know I'm trying to still get to know this person. What are their pet peeves? What things they might not like, they might not dislike. So, but the premarital counseling is very beneficial, because you setting yourself up to take care of any foreseen issues or problems in the future.
Yeah. And
it also teach you about, if you don't know how to communicate to a woman, you can definitely doing those sessions, you'll definitely learn how to communicate, because that pastor, your pastor, or whoever you go through for premarital counseling, they go make sure you able to communicate with that person.
Yeah, communication is key. It's not so much as it is. Communication is key in all areas of your life, in all relationships, whether it's parental relationships, whether it's mother-daughter, whether it's familial relationships, whether it's working relationships. We have to learn how to communicate, and we also have to learn what communication works for others. I had to learn, and trust me, it didn't take me overnight to learn how to communicate with him. It took me a while to learn how to communicate with him. And I think the same thing for him. There were things that were just, I didn't realize were pet peeves of mine that he was doing. But understand, This was somebody that was coming into my space. I was coming into his space. And then I had to learn how to be a parent, literally. I looked at when I was married, when I decided to marry him, I had to look at how to be a parent overnight, literally. Literally. And I did not know how to be a parent. Was it easy? Absolutely not. Did I make good choices? Absolutely not. Could I have done things better? Absolutely I could have. But again, that's the whole thing about marriage. We're two imperfect people trying to be aligned with a perfect God. So understand that I encourage you, if you are in that space of being engaged, even if you're at a long-term relationship and you're trying to navigate what that looks like for your future, do premarital counseling. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a ring. It just makes you necessary. It is necessary for you to understand what that looks like next. How you are to be, the questions that you need to ask, the things that you probably haven't thought about, that you need to kind of you want to kind of visit, right? So that's a little bit about us. We learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about premarital counseling. We
Yep.
went to we through premarital counseling. We knew. Now I think both of us had a hard stop of what we would accept and what we not accept.
Right.
And that was, and I can tell you exactly, I think you can too, infidelity.
Yep.
That was absolutely no holds barred. None, no infidelity whatsoever. So that was something that we decided that we were not going to take. Not going to take. What do you think?
I agree. That's something we agreed on. This is like you laying ground rules for any relationship. There's some ground rules. There's always some ground rules. So don't think it's not no ground rules. There's always ground rules in life. So you lay those ground rules down, and you stick to them, and once those ground rules in place, and that those ground rules goes back to being respectful to your girlfriend, wife, or somebody you want to be with long term. It goes back to respect. You got to respect, because you gotta give respect to get respect. Because if you don't do that, you in for a rude awakening in uh, being a girlfriend, boyfriend, even thinking about getting married or doing your marriage. Your marriage gonna be uh, terrible. There's gonna be a lot of fussing and fighting and arguing and stuff. And I don't argue with nobody. I walk away, and when you feel like talking to me, we'll come back together and talk, because I'm not gonna argue.
So let me just take. He does not argue. Absolutely not.
Mm.
And I can say we don't have arguments. We have disagreements. I think any relationship, you're gonna have disagreements. You're not gonna think the same way. You're not gonna act the same way. We have disagreements,
Yeah,
but
we
our
do.
disagreements do not arise in arguments. Yeah, I'm the one that has a whole bunch of feelings attached. Him, oh no. He's gonna say what he needs to say, and that's it.
I
You
don't.
either take it.
I don't do wasted energy. Period.
Wasted energy.
I'm not doing that.
Oh,
I ain't wasting no energy. I could be doing other things.
They don't do that. You don't do that. So, and I respect that. So, did I have to learn to communicate? Because in my family, the marriages that I kind of grew up and knew about, there was a whole lot of arguing. It was a whole lot of back at it.
Same with marriages that
And I just thought that was the way marriage is supposed to be. No, we changed that. Both of our backgrounds were not ideal as far as in the marriage space. So we had made a decision. No, we're going to talk about this. Even when we were dating, we didn't have any disagreements. We didn't have any arguments.
We didn't.
None of that. We we enjoyed each other's company. He went home every night. Went home. We scheduled a time to be able to come together. Again, he was technically a single parent. He technically was had his son every once in a while.
And at the time, I was a caregiver.
He was a caregiver.
Yeah.
So I respected those boundaries. That was something that he had already established way before I even came in the picture. But I understood that. I knew that. And it was okay. I had things that I needed to do. I didn't lose my identity just because I had him. I had him as a partner.
No, you
still, didn't lose your identity.
You're still an individual,
exactly.
No matter what. Even if you both are married, we've been a long time married. You're still an individual. You still need that, as ladies say, I need some me time. Yeah, you get your me time, and guys need me time too.
Oh, absolutely.
So absolutely. That's the me time works for all around in a relationship, because you're still an individual, and you still at the same time you're still a couple, but you still need that individual time. My hobbies, I like to go work in my yard. That's therapy for me. I love it. I don't bother me.
Been trying to get me to go out there. I don't go out there. I let that happen. He has that. Okay. But no, that is, and he's right. We just because you are in a relationship doesn't mean you stop everything that you like to do for the other person. Everything that you like to do, who you are, if you go out with your friends or if you do this, that doesn't mean that you just completely wash that and let that go for him, because I guarantee you, they're not giving up what they like to do for you. They're not. They're not. And I would not want him to. So when he says, hey, I'm going out to hang with the fellas, all right, bye. You know what I look like?
And that's not very often. That's not very often.
Time to myself. That's how I look at it. So you got to change that around, honey. Oh, I get some time to myself. I can watch whatever I want to watch. If I want to watch a chick flick, I can watch it. If I want to watch a reality TV show, y'all, I don't watch that. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. You go and change that narrative. You don't have to be up under him all the time. Now, there are opportunities where we spend some time together. There are, and I think it is healthy for your relationship. It's healthy for your relationship for you to understand and to know, look, this is my time. This is our time. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Y'all, this was so wonderful. I'm so glad you were able to join in to our first ever podcast. You'll see and hear from us a lot more about all kinds of topics, all kinds of things. I'm so excited. I thank you so much for joining with us. Y'all, this is Marriage Unscripted Podcast. Until the next time, bye-bye.